I am Giger.
I am Ben.
And this week we have a little bit of admin to start off.
A little bit of admin?
Yeah, administration.
Oh, okay.
We have, we're letting you know now, because if you're listening to this, like, off YouTube, we have a YouTube. It's called the Waffle Hour Podcast on YouTube.com.
We're also on Spotify.
Well, we're on a bunch of them. I forgot to tell you, I increased the amount. We have, like, 1 billion. Not like 1 billion, but like a lot. The only one we aren't on is iTunes and the ones that require iTunes, because making an iTunes account is a pain in the ass.
So do you have a list of the things we're on?
I do, but it's on the Twitter. I never put the Twitter onto my phone. It's on my main computer at home.
Oh.
So one of them's Deezer, one of them's Pocket Casts, which I remembered because I thought that name was dope.
Pocket Cast is a good name.
Yeah. That also, speaking of, we have a Twitter.
Oh, we have a Twitter now.
It's called Our Waffle because someone took Waffle Hour. I think it was like the Waffle House took it for like a promotion they were doing.
That's fair. That's a fair promotion. So it's at Our Waffle?
Mm-hmm.
Hour as in time.
Yes, H-O-U-R.
Not as in like
Or
our
you
own
are.
waffle that we own together.
That'd be a better name.
Our Waffle?
Our Waffle.
Maybe.
So we have a Twitter, we have a YouTube, we're on all those other places if you're checking out from one of them.
Email address.
Email address was the other thing. The Waffle Hour Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, in case anyone who are maybe like 3 listeners who aren't our friends, if you ever have any questions or any thoughts that you want to add or any complaints, I'm sure you've got lots of complaints.
Yes, feel free. I'm the one who gets to vet them, so it'll be fun.
I mean, you're also free to, post a comment to the YouTube channel or anything like that.
Or tag us on Twitter and tell us how you hate us.
See, I'm not even convinced any of these people actually exist. Like, we've got the numbers that say they do, but...
Well, we act as if they do, because if we act as if they do, then they will eventually become real.
I'm still weirded out about the downloads.
But that's like 4 people from France have downloaded from us?
Yeah. Why France? Like, who in France wants to listen to this?
I'm guessing these people want to have something to talk about, have something to listen to, and they're like, you know what, the Waffle Hour sounds good. Maybe they thought it was about food.
Was it 4 separate downloads on the same, like...
I don't have that information.
Same episode?
We don't have enough, like, viewers for me to get the specifics.
Damn. Okay.
I think that it was probably their 3rd episode. For some reason, our 3rd episode was, like, downloaded a lot.
Which one was the 3rd episode? What did we talk about again?
So we had Silas on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Which is the one that we didn't really like.
I mean, just because Silas drives me nuts sometimes.
Yeah, and we could have done a better job, like, talking to him in I think both of our opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Engaging with Silas is its own special kind of skill set.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, is that it for the admin?
Yeah, that's about everything.
All
Check
right.
us out on Twitter, YouTube, and emails if you so choose.
So, Giger, as I mentioned before, I've been very, very excited about this episode because of how I've spent my last couple of weeks since we last recorded.
I was about to point that out also. So if they have no idea, we record these every Sunday. We recorded one Sunday 2 episodes in a row, and we skipped a Sunday so that we could all do some personal stuff for reasons of, our own thing.
Well, our last episode, we spent the entire time talking about only 2 things.
Yes.
Because we just didn't have that much to talk
Technically
about.
3 because we had the game at the end, but it was such a small conversation I barely counted.
Yeah. This time, we've got so much to talk about that we're probably going to have like a longer episode. We're probably going to record 2 episodes back to back again.
And as a result of that, we're going to start posting 2 episodes a week because we have an episode in the bag and we might as well.
Yeah, we'll experiment with that. My thing about posting 2 episodes is that, like, if people don't have time to finish the episode they're listening to already,
Well, it's dependent.
Yeah.
We have no idea. We have no real method of knowing what our listeners are like, if they exist at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if an hour and a half podcast is short enough to warrant 2 episodes a week, or... Because if we were doing it as long as our first episode, that was like 2.5 hours long. Like, that was too long for a once-a-week episode.
Absolutely.
That was a once bi-weekly episode.
I'm thinking if we do it this way, like, people just have the ability to pick.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm thinking the second episode, though it won't count for this week, because this is going to be the second episode the week it comes out.
Oh, yeah?
The second episode usually could probably end up being shorter. We could probably go, like, just instead of doing, like, an hour trying to talk about 2 things, we talk about them for, like, as long as they really warrant, which is more like, 20 minutes each.
Okay. I mean, we can never do that. We just kind of waffle.
I know, but, like, we can try. And we usually end up talking...
I'm always trying, Giger.
We usually end up taking less time than we think we're taking.
Yeah.
That's another element.
Okay.
But please tell me about what you did over these 2 weeks.
I want to talk about He-Man. And I want to spend a lot of time talking about He-Man. I want to talk about He-Man, and I want to talk about She-Ra. And I want to talk about the He-Man cartoon from 2002. On Cartoon Network, I think, is what it aired on. And I want to talk about the She-Ra show that's on Netflix.
I am ready.
I also have a quiz associated with them. So I wanted to get this out of the way. If you wanted to talk about something else first, I'm probably going to just take up all of our time.
I can tell you about Mike Tyson's Mystery Crew because I'm really enjoying that.
Okay, I've never seen that.
Really? You've never seen that one?
I know about it. I haven't actually watched it. I remember when it first aired, I think it got linked to me, and I was like, okay, this is a hilarious little idea, but
Yeah.
what I was seeing was not entertaining enough for me to really want to watch more.
So I was watching Venture Brothers as we discussed last episode. I finally finished it, but halfway through me going through the last few seasons, I was like, I need something else to watch. My brain's kind of like, I've done this enough. So I was looking around, and what it got recommended to me was Mike Tyson's Mystery Team. Now, I don't want to say that Mike Tyson's Mystery Team is a very necessarily good show.
Okay, is it a bad show?
No.
It's not a bad show.
Here's the thing. It's a very funny show if you like Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald kind of steals it. He plays a pigeon.
Okay.
There's 4 main characters. There's Mike Tyson, who plays himself.
All right.
There's Ty Lee, which is an Asian girl that was left on Mike Tyson's doorstep that he adopted as his own. And then there's a ghost who's all white, whose name is Marcus of the... he's in the old ghost, Marcus something. I can't remember. He's like the prince of an 1800s era.
The Bishop of Bath and Wells.
Is that it? That's not it. That's from Blackadder.
A formal title.
Yeah, that's from Blackadder. And then finally, there's Norm Macdonald, who's a pigeon. His ex-wife turned him into a pigeon, and he just goes through life being a pigeon.
Got it.
Some episodes are some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen. I was literally laughing out loud while I was watching them to the point I couldn't my family would hear, which I don't usually do.
Yeah.
Usually I'm very quiet and reserved, but I was dying. And some episodes are just not funny or good.
So it's a hit and miss kind of thing?
It's a very hit and miss show.
Would you say it's more hit than miss, or more miss than hit?
I think for me it was because...
Was more hit?
Was more hit because as I was watching it and getting deeper into it, I knew I wasn't going to stop. You know what I mean? I knew that I was going to... there were going to be points, even in the miss episodes that I didn't hit, that I would find funny. But all this pretty much stems from the fact that I love Norm Macdonald as a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever heard his joke about a moth in a podiatrist's office, have you ever heard that one?
I think I might have.
It's a long joke. He did it on Conan.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining, is him just kind of rambling on and me, not remembering all the details of it.
Well, the details are only relevant when you're watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of my favorite jokes of him. If you've seen that joke and you loved that joke, you will love the show enough to where even the bad episodes are okay enough.
I don't think I have enough experience, not experience, but I don't watch very much Norm Macdonald. I don't watch many comedians, period.
Yeah.
I don't, search out stand-up to watch stand-up. I'll occasionally catch it when it's on, and I'll enjoy it. And people always want to watch stand-up, and I'm like, I don't want to watch stand-up, I'd rather watch a show. You know?
Well, I'm a huge stand-up fan. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. There's a point in my time when I wanted to be a stand-up comedian.
Oh, yeah?
And I still kind of want to try it, but I can't now for obvious reasons.
No, what's the obvious reasons?
The global pandemic.
Oh, well, you can wait that out.
Sure, but...
I thought you meant more some sort of crippling disability. I'm like,
no, I just mean
is something I didn't know about?
I mean, literally right now, I cannot do it right this second.
No.
Also... I don't want to reveal too much, but in our town that'd be very difficult.
Yeah, there isn't it's a smaller town.
There's one.
There's one place you can do stand up.
One.
Okay. Trying to think of questions to ask. The only experience I have with Norm Macdonald, funnily enough, or not the only, but the thing I think of the most is
Weekend Update?
What's that?
Weekend Update?
No, not even that. The Fairly Odd Parents, when he played that genie.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't remember that. No.
You don't remember that? Do you remember the Fairly Odd Parents?
Yeah, watched a lot of it as a kid, but I haven't watched any of it recently.
Well, this wasn't recent. I mean, there isn't. I don't. Has that show ended yet?
I think it has.
Jesus God.
No,
I
it
hope
definitely
so.
has because the dude who made it is trying to do other stuff. He was trying to do that his own like Christian entertainment service or whatever.
I did not know that. I didn't even know
Butch
he was
Hartman.
Christian. That's his name. Butch Hartman. Fairly Odd Parents is a very frustrating show, dude. Anyway, Norm Macdonald played a genie.
Mm-hmm.
The premise was that Timmy he was sick of the rules always blocking what he wanted to do with the fairy wishes, and he found out that genie magic is like a fairy wish, but without rules associated with it.
Yeah.
With the caveat that there's always some sort of like downside to it. And he plays an asshole genie.
Yeah.
And he's very good at being an asshole. And that's why it's funny. But of course, this is like a children's show, so it's not Norm Macdonald at his best or anything.
I always say if you want to check out Norm Macdonald, look at his stand-up because his stand-up's hilarious. One of the funniest things and one of the funniest and best things he ever did, in my opinion, was when he did a show on David Letterman.
Uh-huh.
And it was David Letterman's last show when he was retiring.
Oh, yeah?
And like he does his whole comedy bit, and at the end he's like, something that you've never seen is he's tearing up because for him, Norm Macdonald, David Letterman's one of his like comedians that he grew up with.
Oh, yeah?
He saw him when he was a kid, which is insane to me. But like this is a
Yeah, I
huge
didn't
deal
realize
for him.
Letterman was that old.
Yeah, I know. I didn't either until I saw him talk about it. But he saw that was a huge deal, and seeing Norm cry was one of the most insane things to me because he's never done that.
No, he doesn't seem like he's the kind of... He doesn't have a face that looks like it's capable of crying.
He's a very professional comedian. He is always trying to save face. The only reason he won't is if he's trying to make a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But he's one of my favorite comedians, and I have a lot of favorite comedians. I think you would like James Acaster a lot.
Maybe. Again, I don't like stand-up.
Well, I'm thinking because his shows are more like a TV show in a way.
Maybe.
Just because they like draw into each other from the previous.
Would you recommend Mike Tyson's mystery adventures
I would say for
over Norm Macdonald's stand-up?
Over Norm Macdonald? No, never. I don't.
So what you're telling me is I should just watch some Norm Macdonald stand-up and maybe...
For you, yeah, you should maybe check out Norm Macdonald. If you find his stand-up amazing and you love it, then check out the show. But if you hear the premise of the show, Mike Tyson has a mystery team, and you find that hilarious, check it out the show, because it's about as funny as you'll think it would be, and it lasts about as long as you would think it would.
And it's real Mike Tyson.
And it really is Mike Tyson actually voicing himself, and it's amazing. And so make sure you stick around to the end, because at the end of every episode, he does a little... he's like live action. He has his suit on because he has a jumpsuit with a question mark on, and they do a little live action thing with him.
That's great.
Where he talks about like getting a cab, and he's like, if I'm always in a cab, I'll tell the guy, you shut the fuck up, or you shut your mouth, motherfucker, because I don't want to talk to him.
Is that your Mike Tyson impression?
It was terrible. I'm sorry, Mike Tyson. Please don't hate me.
I didn't think it was that bad. I'm just wondering how that's going to translate like over the microphone.
Horribly. That's why I'm apologizing to the man I guess I admire to an extent.
Oh yeah, my admiration of Mike Tyson pretty much ends at NES Punch-Out.
Yeah, that's fair.
in which he was the baddest fucking boss that's ever been in a video game.
It's just like the fact that he was willing to go for that show for like I think it's 4 or 5 seasons.
Oh my god.
And it's just almost entirely a parody on Mike Tyson is like insane to me.
What an Adult Swim show.
Seriously.
Like, I don't think anything has ever like just bled Adult Swim. Like it's just Adult Swim concentrated into its own premise is like that show.
That's a very good description. It's insane to me. It blows my mind every time I think about it.
Just like Adult Swim, it's a little hit and miss.
Yeah. Squidbillies.
I mean, lots of people love Squidbillies.
But they shouldn't.
I mean,
no.
They can.
No.
It's
This is going to be the one thing I'm passionate about. Squidbillies should be burned.
You just don't like Squidbillies.
I don't even know. I haven't even seen it. I'm just joking around.
Okay.
I've seen it to an extent. Please talk about He-Man.
Are you ready for this?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay.
Papa.
So, let's just start with talking about what He-Man is, in case people don't know that. I'm sure you're familiar enough with what He-Man is.
Watched him as a child, yes.
Yeah. Well, you probably watched the 2002 show.
I believe so.
Because that's the one that was on when we were kids.
Yeah.
Because we're not that old. We didn't live in the 80s.
No, we're both fairly young.
But He-Man is a comic cartoon universe that is designed entirely around a toy line, much like G.I. Joe.
And Transformers and everything that exists in the 90s cartoons.
Pretty much. But instead of like being a theme like transforming robots or soldiers like G.I. Joe, it's just kind of all over the place. They got barbarian heroes, they got monsters, they've got wizards, they've got robots, it's, everything.
The neck dude.
The neck dude, Mecha Neck.
Yeah.
And the idea of the show was basically just a big commercial for the toys. And it is really, really fucking stupid. Like, it is one of the stupidest fucking things I think that has ever existed. Now, mind you, I have not watched the old 80s cartoon very much, so I'm not going to really comment about that. I know enough about it that I know I don't really want to watch it. It's kind of boring. There's not a lot of action because they weren't allowed to have a lot of violence back then.
As long as you watched the internet clip of him singing, what was the song?
I have no idea. I actually have never heard that song outside of that clip. The What's Going On?
I wake up in the morning and I go outside. It's that one.
Yeah.
It's What's Going On.
Is that what the song is called?
I think.
What's going on?
Yeah. You said you never sang. You lied.
I tried. I am cringing at the thought of it. We're going to have to edit that out.
I'm not editing that out.
We have to edit it out. Anyway.
You want to edit this episode?
So, He-Man is Prince Adam is the prince of the Kingdom of Eternia, and he gets a magic sword that turns him into He-Man, who's like a big barbarian hero of like infinite strength or whatever. And the Masters of the Universe are like all of the other characters that are on his team that fight Skeletor as bad guys. That's the premise. And then She-Ra was like a spin-off series because they wanted to like sell toys to girls too. So She-Ra, they decided, was Prince Adam's sister, Adora, who was taken as a child, and she was raised as a child soldier on some other planet called Etheria. And, like, in the show, He-Man and the other guys go to Etheria, and they meet She-Ra, and she finds her own sword, and she becomes a magical warrior female version, and she's got her own cast of characters, and they've got their own villains and stuff like that. So there's some things about the show that are really, really dumb. Like the fact that, like, He-Man is
pretty stupid.
What's that?
That premise was pretty fucking stupid.
I know, right? Like, Prince Adam and He-Man are supposed to have, like, a secret identity kind of thing going, and especially in the old 80s show, that doesn't make any sense, because they look identical to one another. They've got the same stupid haircut, they have the same stupid body. He looks identical, except he goes from wearing, like, a pink shirt to being, like, bare-chested barbarian dude.
I recall this from the show. It was from the 2002, he's a little boy, right?
The 2002 one, yeah, they actually do make a difference between them, and I appreciate that, but I mean, let's just start talking about that now. The 2002 show, the biggest problems with it is that it adheres a little bit too closely to the original 80s property. Like, it's dumb. It's really fucking dumb, dude. It's one of the dumbest shows I've ever seen.
The episode that I always remember, the reason I remember the neck guy is because I remember an episode where he was feeling self-conscious because all he could really do was increase the size of his neck.
Yeah, he just stretches his neck out.
Yeah.
Oh my god, some of these characters are so dumb.
It's pretty fair to feel self-conscious about that. It's kind of a shitty power.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they could use it more creatively, but all he does is just be reconnaissance. He just stretches his neck out so that he can see above everyone else. Like, that's it. That's all they ever use him for. Meanwhile, you got a guy that flies, and you got a guy who's got all these, like, weapons and stuff, and you got a guy who can make tornadoes, and you've got a robot. But this guy just stretches his neck.
Yeah.
So yeah, the 90s show, or I keep calling it a 90s show, it's 2002, so kind of think like late 90s. It's got a production value that's similar to like Justice League or Gargoyles. It's not like hard to watch or anything like the old 80s cartoon is. It's very watchable. But like I said, it adheres pretty closely, and it can be kind of corny sometimes. Like, one of the things I can't get over is Skeletor's voice.
Yes.
Skeletor has that like high-pitched,
hey man, I'll get you!
yeah, that voice where it's just like, I can't take this villain seriously. He's supposed to be like the main bad guy, but he sounds like a fucking joke.
Yeah.
He's just got this high-pitched, nasally skeleton voice.
I wish Alex was here. You could do that voice perfect.
And some of Skeletor's minions have these ridiculous fucking voices. Like, there's a lobster man called Clawful, and he literally goes, "Duh, what's going on, boss?" Like that. Like, I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, I can't take any of these characters seriously. The problem with there's so many problems with He-Man. like, the premise of every single episode is that, like, Skeletor's trying to take Castle Grayskull, because that's where He-Man's power comes from.
Grayskull!
And they have to defend it. And usually it'll be, like, an episode that, like, focuses on one of the team members.
Yeah.
Kind of like Justice League, you know? Like, Justice League would have a thing where they'd, like, okay, well, this episode's going to be about Green Lantern.
Yeah, this episode's going to be about the Martian.
Yeah, this one's going to be about Mechanic. This one's going to be about Man-at-Arms. But the problem is that in every single episode, He-Man has to show up and save them. So it's like if Superman decided to ruin every episode of Justice League by being Superman and just being better than everybody else. Meanwhile, it's the same villains every week. It's always Skeletor and his cronies, and they're always pathetic and useless. And there's not a lot of tension there.
And you watched all of this?
No, I didn't. I could not watch all of it. I wound up skipping a little bit too, because the show got canceled like midway through their second season. And they did a big change-up in the second season where it became He-Man versus the Snake Men, because apparently they introduced a new villain who was King Hiss and his army of, like, snake men. And he took over Skeletor's lair, because that used to be the old Snake Man lair before they got banished by the Ancient Ones or some corny thing like that.
Sure.
And then the new series was about, like, He-Man and fighting them, and Skeletor being, like, a nuisance. I'm like, okay, this is kind of a cool premise, but maybe the show could have gotten better. But it never got the time to, you know? It just got canceled. It never had the ratings in the first place. Orko is still annoying as hell. I forgot to mention that. Orko is like this little wizard dude. He's got this high-pitched voice. He's really annoying. He's not funny. He's never funny. I hate him so much.
Why did you watch this?
Well, I was watching it because I was watching She-Ra with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed time to, like... I had to wait for that person so I can go back to watching She-Ra. So I'm like, okay, I'll look into He-Man.
Yeah.
And there's supposed to be, like, a new He-Man series coming onto Netflix soon.
Okay.
I'm not saying that, like, the show is, like, irredeemably bad. It's corny. It's got bad parts.
To me, it sounds exactly like how I would have expected a show based around a kid, like, selling toys to be.
Yeah, but this was supposed to be... I was hoping it'd be better. I was hoping it'd be like Justice League. I was hoping it'd be like Gargoyles. Because the production value is there. Like, the animation's fine. The art style's fine. It's got, like, cool action set pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But every episode ends with, like, a moral lesson where, like, one of the characters talks to the camera about how you should trust your friends or something like that. I'm like, seriously? Is this... They decided to keep that from the 80s cartoon?
I don't know, man. This sounds exactly like how shows were when I was a child.
Yeah. I mean, Justice League was never that bad. Justice League was such a good show.
Justice League was a good show. Especially Justice League Unlimited, I really enjoyed because it had a lot of other characters. Introduced me to the Question, my favorite DC heroes.
Oh yeah, Question's cool. I mean, the Question in Justice League was based more on Rorschach than it was the Question from the comics. Rorschach being the character from The Watchmen, who was based on the Question.
I don't know if I would agree with that.
Well, he was like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, but he wasn't fun. Rorschach wasn't fun.
Rorschach wasn't fun.
Question was fun.
Question is fun.
Question would go find the 15th Ben and Jerry's ice cream flavor.
Is that a thing?
That they did that in the show.
Okay.
They need the Question for something and they're looking for him and he's like in the middle. He's in Ben and Jerry's and he's like, haha, the 14th flavor or whatever.
I don't understand. I don't know enough about Ben and Jerry's.
I think there's a conspiracy that there's more flavors than they say.
Okay.
I don't know.
I thought they were coming up with flavors all the time.
I have no idea. It's an old show. I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a while. Let's get to She-Ra.
Well, I was wondering if there anything else I wanted to talk about with He-Man.
Is there?
I wanted to do the quiz before I did She-Ra.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because, as you know, the side characters in He-Man are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mechanic, for instance.
Yep.
Or Clawful.
Mechanec's the one I remember.
Yeah, because, like, why would you do that? So while I was watching it, I'm like, okay, here's an idea for a game. Real or fake He-Man characters.
You're way better at these than I am.
Coming up with games?
Yeah, I've tried. I've been trying, like, ever since we started, and I can't come up with any. Every time I'm like, should I do, like, something to do with Doom? What do I do with Doom? And I'm like, no, I can't. I can't think of anything.
To be fair, I've done, like, 2 games, and one of them I copied from someone else.
Yeah, but the first one you did was your own, and this is the other one. It's also, it sounds way better as a premise.
I am really proud of this. I mean, the thing is that, like, I'm trying to come up with games all the time, and I can't come up with anything. This was literally, I'm watching this show, I'm like, man, this show is so gloriously stupid. Oh my god, I have an idea for a game.
See, if I did want it to be like, it'd be about a show that I know too much about, and then it wouldn't be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could ask you a question about Futurama, and there's no way you're going to get them.
Maybe. I'm going to point out, you're not going to be able to Get this.
I'm well aware of that.
This is gonna be basically impossible.
I'm aware. I know.
So what I want you to do is I'm going to give you the name and I give you the description of the character, and you just have to tell me if it's a real He-Man character, whether it's from a comic, a TV show, if it was like a toy that they never actually put into the animated universe or anything like that, or if it's something I just completely made up.
Okay.
All right, are you ready?
No, but go ahead.
I did randomize this list, by the way, so it's not like they're evenly mixed.
Okay.
So the first one is Ape Out, and it's an ape man.
No.
That's fake?
You made that up.
I did make it up.
Because of the game.
What game?
Ape Out.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I got the name.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you've got one so far. Gobbledygook. He's like a magic goblin.
You had to have made that.
I did.
Thank God.
Oh, you're doing really well so far. Prickleback. He's like a hedgehog man.
I think the show made that.
No, I did.
Okay. Because I was unconvinced that you would have gone Prickly Back with that name. That was a really good name.
Yeah, right? I'm very proud of a lot of my names. Alright, Net-Tossa. She has magic nets. She tosses them.
I'm going to say that's in the He-Man universe.
Yeah, that one's real.
Okay. So that's 3 points for me. I'm going to count by points.
You're going to actually keep track of them?
Yeah, but I'm doing it on my fingers.
Alright, Skelerang. He's a skeleton that throws a boomerang made out of his rib.
No, you made that.
I did make that one up.
Okay.
It's too clever.
It is. It's kind of that actually kind of was it. I was like, that makes sense, but Skeletor would be the one to do it.
Alright, Dragstore. He's part man, part vehicle.
Oh, that's He-Man.
That is He-Man. How can you tell?
It just makes sense. I don't know.
Dragstore makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you.
Tongue Lashore. He is a snake man with a long tongue.
He-Man.
Yep. Rattlor. He is a rattlesnake man.
No, you made that when I was a red herring.
Nope, that one's real.
Oh, dang it.
There's definitely a theme to He-Man names that I had to pick up on because it was so funny. Okay, Fisto.
Tell me what he does.
He's a guy with a big fucking fist.
You?
No. No, I didn't make that one up.
I was really hoping you did.
I know. No, Fisto is an actual character from He-Man. I think he's Man-at-Arm's brother or something like that.
I was thinking of like Fisto from Fallout 4 or Fallout New Vegas.
I call him Fisto Roboto.
He was named Fisto for a different reason.
Oh my god. Casta Spella. She is a sorceress.
You just made that up.
I did not.
You're joking. Casta Spella?
Casta Spella.
Was that in the show?
That was not in the He-Man show. I had to look up a lot of these.
Thank fuck.
Stinkor.
Stinkor.
He's a skunk man.
You made that up.
I didn't.
Alright.
Ninjor. He is a ninja.
He-Man?
That's the real He-Man one too.
Alright, cool. 7 to whatever.
I forgot to keep track.
I'm keeping track, don't worry.
Alright, Grapple Master. He's like a masked wrestler character.
That could be either of you.
That's the whole point of the game, dude.
Well, like, I can't... You wouldn't have come up with Casta Spella.
I mean, I could have.
I'm gonna say that was the He-Man.
No, that is one I made up.
Alright.
What I did was I took like a list of ridiculous He-Man characters and I just picked my favorites from it, and I tried to come up with like my own ideas based on that list.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so Sucker Punch. He is an Octoman.
You?
Yeah, that was one of mine.
Okay.
It just occurred to me now that I didn't actually label these.
Sucker. I got it.
Yeah, actually that was my roommate's idea.
Oh, okay.
Moss Man. He's like a plant man. He can control plants.
That was you.
Nope, that is one of the characters.
Good.
He's actually, that was one of the cooler episodes I saw, was when they introduced Moss Man. He's got like this kind of like southern cowboy thing going on. He looks like kind of like a Sasquatch looking man, but he's all
I'm not putting any of these on the screen.
No? Okay. That's fine. Bad apple. It is like an evil treant. It's an apple tree.
You made that up.
I did.
That was too much like Alice in Wonderland.
That actually... Well, I was thinking of The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Alice in Wonderland. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Enchantor. A mind-controlling sorcerer.
He-Man.
No, that is one I made up. That was my one something or character.
Okay.
Because so many of them are literally that. Castle Grey Skull Man. It's literally the personification of Castle Grey Skull.
That's in He-Man.
That is a He-Man character.
I have 10 points.
Oh yeah? Out of 20?
Is it out of 20? How many are there?
2 more.
Okay.
Snout Spout. He's got a robotic elephant face.
That was He-Man.
That is He-Man. And then finally, Roboto is literally a robot.
That was you.
Nope, that is a He-Man character.
Alright. I think in the end I gave you more credit than I should have.
Yeah.
11 out of the total.
I think the ones I came up with are actually a lot more clever than most of theirs.
A lot of them, yeah.
A lot of them are just like animal or animal something or. Like there's literally Mosquitor.
Ninja or. Was that one of yours?
Ninja. Yeah, no, Ninja was one of theirs. I was laughing so hard at that. Panther is literally
Panther?
Panther. That is the name of what's the skeleton
Panther guy?
No, it's literally just a big panther.
This his pet?
Yeah, it was his pet panther. Skeletor. I forgot Skeletor's name for a second, and I'm like, wait, it's literally skeleton with T-O-R at the end.
When you said skeleton,
Skeletor.
When you said skeleton guy, I thought you meant the other guy you were talking about a second ago. I did not believe that you were talking about skeleton. Yeah, I thought you were talking about him.
There was one called. Oh shoot, what was he called? It was like a scare glow. It was like a light up scarecrow. It was a glow in the dark toy. I think of G.I. Joe and all their hilarious like little pun names, and then they've just got Ninjor, the ninja.
Ninjor, what's his deal? Who's a ninja? Oh.
He's a ninja.
I got it. I understand. All right, that was hilarious. 11.
Well, I'm
proud of that.
Pretty good.
I'm proud.
That's a fist bump for you.
I thought I would get way less than that. I thought this was gonna be like the Doom game.
Doom game was pretty hard.
I did horrible, and Silas did better than me. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he did. We weren't keeping track of that one, though.
No.
Should I start keeping track? I feel like if we keep track, we've got to have an actual reward.
If we keep track, then... No, you shouldn't. Because we keep track, then we kind of have to do it every week. And I can't come up with one ever. We'd have to start stealing them. Yeah, it's better to do that as little as possible. We've only done it once so far, and that guy doesn't even know we exist.
I know you exist, Patrick Wilhelm.
Yeah. You're there, bud. She-Ra.
Okay. She-Ra.
Have you finished She-Ra?
I did finish She-Ra.
Okay.
So, She-Ra... How do I even start with this one? Holy shit. She-Ra is...
To clarify, this is the She-Ra that they released on Netflix recently.
Yes. So, that's how I should explain it. She-Ra, they didn't have the rights to, like, make a He-Man property yet. So, they went ahead with the She-Ra show. And they've got some ties to He-Man. Mm-hmm. Like they mentioned Castle Grayskull, and they mentioned Eternia. But that's about it, because they didn't know if they were going to be able to like tie this to a He-Man show. The He-Man show is going to be coming out soon. There's going to be a new one on Netflix. I think it's going to be an anime made by the guys who did the Castlevania show.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be animated by them, but the showrunner is going to be Kevin Smith.
Oh.
Which I guess is about as perfect as a person you could choose for this kind of thing.
I guess.
Like, I'm sure he'll keep it appropriately stupid, just how people love.
I don't know. My opinions of Kevin Smith have changed through the years.
Oh yeah?
I don't have any reason.
Like, I don't have strong opinions on Kevin Smith. I thought Clerks was a good movie.
That's like that's how I am. Like, I used to have stronger feelings, and then like, I don't know. I don't remember what he did that I didn't like. He did something I didn't like, and I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was Tusk.
I didn't see that.
Don't.
Okay. Deal. I will not see Tusk.
But yeah, so Kevin Smith, is he the one who was showrunner for She-Ra or just He-Man?
Just He-Man.
Okay.
I can't remember the person who did She-Ra.
They are not important.
Well, I think they are. But I don't know what they did before She-Ra. I don't know.
Kevin Feige.
So, She-Ra. This show was fucking amazing. Like, really fucking good.
Okay.
I adored it. I loved it the hell out of this show.
Okay, on a scale from Harvey Birdman to Venture Brothers.
Venture Brothers.
Alright.
Like, on a scale... wait, where does that even go? Like, Harvey Birdman. I really like Harvey Birdman, too.
I don't know. Those are the two I remembered.
Me,
On a
like,
scale
ranting
from
about...
Squidbillies to Harvey Birdman.
Like, I'm, like, putting it... Maybe I keep on thinking of Avatar because I just watched Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
But it's right with Avatar. Okay?
Right with Avatar, okay.
Maybe higher. Because the thing I mentioned before is that Avatar didn't really surprise me in any way. This show did. It really, like, took, like, certain story directions that I was not predicting. Certain, like, character directions. And I'm like, are you serious? Are they allowed to do that? They're not allowed to do that, are they?
Tell me what you like. Well, tell me what the show is about, essentially.
Okay, so I mentioned the She-Ra concept before.
Yes.
But we're not going to... There's no He-Man in this.
Is it the same concept, or have they changed anything?
They changed a lot, but they did take the initial premise, which is that Adora, Princess Adora, or whatever she is in this show, she's just called Adora, is a child soldier of the evil Horde, who are trying to take over the planet of Etheria, or the kingdom, or whatever it is. And she finds a magic sword and finds out that she is the mystical warrior destined to save the world, She-Ra. And she teams up with the princesses of the planet to fight the evil Horde. And they take this concept and they don't shy away from how stupid it is. They definitely make like a lot of jokes about this kind of stuff. Like the Horde has like, they're in the middle of the war against the princesses, and they've got like anti-princess propaganda and stuff that they show their child soldiers.
That's kind of funny.
Like they tell like the stories about how the evil princesses are gonna like kidnap them in the woods and stuff like that. But at the same time, like it takes the right stuff serious when they need to.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a show about abuse and trauma and all that awful stuff. And I don't know where to begin. The show is so fucking good.
Well, we got an hour.
An hour. I thought I was going to be talking about He-Man for longer, but you just did not have any questions to ask.
Well, it's just the way you described it made it sound pretty boring and uninteresting, and then like I couldn't think of anything to go on for that.
Anyway, so I don't want to spoil anything about this show. I do want people to watch this one, and it's not like Avatar where it's been, because this I think only ended like a few months ago.
But even more importantly, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and you haven't seen it, so I don't want to spoil it for you. So the first season is all about like her. She leaves the Horde. She teams up with the princesses. She learns.
A joke, by the way. It's okay.
What?
I haven't seen it. I was acting very snotty that I haven't seen it. Therefore, you shouldn't spoil it. That was a joke. I was not trying to be rude.
I thought you were just. I mean, that seemed like an honest.
To you, because you know me. They don't.
I don't know what you're trying to do right now.
I'm trying to be honest.
I thought you were trying to make a joke.
No. If I make a joke, you'll know.
Are you making a joke now?
What would the joke be?
I don't know. I'm not sure why you interrupted me.
So She-Ra.
So She-Ra. I hate you right now. Okay. So it starts off with Adora meeting the princesses, and like the first season is the one princess. Her name is Glimmer. She's a princess of the Moonstone. She's got like light power, so she can teleport and throw little light balls at people. She wants to get all the other princesses together and reform the Princess Alliance to finally fight off the Horde, because they've been losing this war for like so long.
Sure.
And then the second and third season are clearly like two halves of like the same season, because otherwise the second just kind of randomly ends at a random episode, and if you just combine them, it would be the same length of episodes as every other season of the show. So even though there's 5 seasons, there really should just be 4. Like if they do a DVD release of this, there's going to be 4 volumes, I'm sure.
Okay.
The second season is where like everything gets absolutely crazy, or the second and third seasons where everything gets absolutely crazy. Like the way the third season ends is just this like fantastic episode. What can I tell you about this show without spoiling it? Okay, I love every character.
I was gonna ask about characters. Yes.
Every single character is freaking hilarious. Every single character is incredibly likable. All of the main characters are really cool. All of the villains are like, except for Shadow Weaver, she's an awful person. But everyone on the evil side, they're all like really, really likable people. Like, the main antagonist of the show her name is Catra, and she was, like, raised alongside Adora. She was abused in the same way Adora was, but probably, like, a lot worse. Like, Shadow Weaver was, like, their surrogate mom who would pit them against each other and play, like, favorites and shit like that.
Oh,
and
so,
basically
like,
just tell her
Thanos.
that she's terrible all the time.
It's like Thanos.
It's very similar to that.
Yeah.
Though, if instead of just having, like, one conversation at the end of Guardians 2, it's like the entire show was about that.
Okay.
And Catra is, in my opinion, like, I like her a lot. She might be one of my absolute favorite characters in the show of characters I really like, just because her story is so interesting. She's just a person who continually makes bad mistake after bad mistake over and over and over. She just makes awful choices. But you never, like, you always understand why she's making it and what she's thinking when she's doing it.
Zuko.
And you just feel bad. Yeah, it's like if Zuko, instead of going through a redemption arc, was always with the rest of the Fire Nation and was in charge of things, kind of like Admiral Zhao in the first season. Like, if he was Admiral Zhao's position, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse.
So she never... Oh, don't spoil it for me, never mind.
Meanwhile, Scorpia, who is a fan-favorite character, is, like, her second-in-command, and she's, like, this big fucking lady with big scorpion claws and a scorpion tail, and she's probably, like, the strongest character in the show, and she's just the nicest person.
Is she on the evil side?
She's on the evil side. I mean, she's, like, full-on brainwashed into the evil side thing, but she just wants Catra to be her best friend, and she's super sweet and adorable, and she gives the best hugs.
So you won't get this, but, like the relationship between Cher and her underling in Black Clover. You don't understand because it's an anime that you haven't seen, but it's
then,
very
yeah,
similar.
sure, why not?
I'm telling you for them if they do.
Black Clover. Which one's Black Clover?
Black Clover is the one where they have the magic tomes, and the main premise is the one kid doesn't have any magic at all, but he gets a tome regardless. Lets him, like, an anti-magic sword they can use. It's okay. I like it, but it's okay.
It's one of the good animes.
It's one of the better ones.
Okay.
But there's one arc that's terrible.
Would you recommend it to me? No.
I'm unconvinced that you would like it. I think you would hate Asta. He's the main character. He's just very loud. You ever seen Fairy Tail?
No. Is that another anime?
Yeah, it's another anime. It's got the same problem. If
Okay.
you haven't seen Fairy Tail, you probably won't like this.
Anyway, the main characters. I really like all of them. Adora is hilarious. She is, she's the main character. She's the one that turns into She-Ra. And she's like a dumb jock.
Oh, spoiler!
Yeah, spoilers. She gets a magic sword in the first episode. It turns her into She-Ra. But the funniest thing about her is that she's like this dumb jock, you know?
Okay.
Like her solution to problems are usually like, I'm gonna go in there with my big sword and I'm gonna kill them because that's what I'm good at. I'm gonna throw a thing at them. And they're like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, I won't do it, but I don't know what else to do. This is all I'm good at.
There's so many things I could relate that to. I was gonna say one of the people we know in real life. What's the one? It's blank. From Marvel, Captain Marvel in the cartoon Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Shazam?
No, Captain Marvel.
Oh, Captain Marvel in
Marvel.
in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, no, not in the Marvel universe. Not in the movie cinematic universe.
Oh my god, I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a show called Earth's Mightiest Heroes that was just the Avengers.
Oh, okay.
It went alongside some of them, but it has nothing to do with them. It's way better. I would recommend that show to you. You would like that show.
Got it.
But in that show, that's exactly how she acts.
Oh, yeah?
She's a very, headstrong, I'm going to attack him first. And it's like, you shouldn't?
But then there's all the jokes that they have in She-Ra over the fact that she's like an abused child soldier. Like, she sees a horse for the first time, and she just instantly falls in love. She's like, oh my god, this is the most wonderful creature I've ever seen. And she goes to, her first party, and they're like, you've never been to a party? It's like, they don't have parties in the Horde.
I also know it's called the Horde.
Yeah, the Evil Horde. It's like, why do you think they're called the Evil Horde? I'm like, who calls us that? It's like, everybody calls you that!
Okay.
And the funny thing is, she's like the only character that has any illusions that the Horde is evil. Like, Catra gets it. Mm-hmm. She's just doesn't understand the point. She bases most of her decisions off of wanting to show up her shitty abusive parent figure and get stronger and prove everyone that she's actually awesome.
Yeah.
And Adora's her thing is realizing that the Horde is actually evil all this time and wanting to stop them. Oh my god. Plus there's this one time they like wake her up and she just like brandishes a knife. I'm like, wait, why did she do that? I'm like, oh yeah, it's because she was an abused child soldier.
I don't like that we're laughing about it, but I get it.
I mean,
they make jokes about
it.
it.
They make jokes about it. They also treat it as seriously as I feel it can be. Because it's dark. The show gets really fucking dark sometimes.
I have to check it out. If you're recommending it as close as Avatar,
I think
that's pretty high praise.
I think I liked it a bit more than Avatar.
Maybe I'd have to see it.
It's not perfect like Avatar is. Okay, Avatar is like, there is no missteps. I'm not going to claim that She-Ra doesn't have some missteps here and there, but I am saying that, like, well, the choices that they make, the directions the show goes into, there's some surprising stuff. The main villain, Hordak, the guy who leads the Horde, yeah, I know. His name is Hordak.
I wasn't going to comment.
Okay, well, I know you were thinking it. I was thinking it.
I wasn't.
He's the leader of the Horde. His name is Hordak.
I was just gonna let it go.
So the way they characterize this character is like a lot. It's really different compared to what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
Either you've got your dumbass, like, megalomaniacal, hubris-filled villain, a la Skeletor, or you've got like Ozai, who is less of a character and more of like a force of nature. Like, he's not someone who has a personality. You never delve into, like, anything about him. And that's because they couldn't risk giving him anything that would make him sympathetic.
Because as soon as you do, it, like, undermines a lot of things.
Yeah, the whole point is that he's just a bad guy. He needs to be stopped. There is no other direction this goes into.
It might have made, like, Aang's decisions to not, do what he was supposed to do at the end. To not kill him. It's an old show. I spoiled it. I'm sorry. To not kill him a little bit more.
Avatar spoilers.
It might have made the Aang's choice a little bit more understandable from the audience perspective, but yeah, you're right.
Hordak, on the other hand, is introduced, like, in the first season, and the way I introduce him, like, really interested me. Shadow Weaver's, like, all upset that Adora defected, and she wants to take it out on Catra, because that's what she does, and she wants to get, like, soldiers to go get her back, and Hordak's like, no, we're not going to waste our time with this stupid thing. We're not going to, like, I'm not going to give in to your dumbass hang-ups. You were going to promote her into the Force Captain? Well, we've got a good person to promote into Force Captain. You've trained Catra alongside Adora, so just promote her. And let's go back to winning this war that we're supposed to be doing. I'm like, oh.
I like that, actually.
I'm like, he's competent. That's really weird.
That's frightening.
Especially because, like, up until this point, like, most of the victories that the good guys win in every episode before that is kind of like, on accident. Just like, they're scrappy underdogs and they manage to pull it together. I'm like, man, once they actually go against this guy, they're not going to have, like, any chance because he knows what he's doing. And then, like, later on, another, like, slight spoiler for season 1, Catra starts, like, experimenting with the Black Garnet. It's, like, this magic crystal that the Horde has control over, and she wants to use that to, like, harness its powers, and she goes over Shadow Weaver's head, and Shadow Weaver gets, like, super pissed. It's like, you wait until Hordak hears about this, and Hordak's like, no, I knew about this. I have information. I know how to get info. I know what's going on. And when she explained to me what her plan was, I thought, it was a good idea. We're going to go through with it. I'm like, I love this so much.
There was I don't know the show, unfortunately, but there was a show that did something similar. I think it was an 80s show, and the idea was that one of the generals of the guy had failed, and he went to the general. He's like, "I'm so sorry, General. Please punish me however you see fit." And the general was like, "No, we're not going to punish you. You're a great general. You've failed once. This is not a big deal. Go back to being amazing and leading our army into victory." And then it's the same. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. That same thing. It may have been from the original She-Ra show. I have no idea.
No, the original Hordak in the old 80s cartoon was like. He was like Skeletor.
Then definitely not that.
He had an annoying voice. He was dumb. He had dumb underlings. They just, were dumb together.
Let's ignore it then.
They definitely changed
better
this.
one.
And again, they take this character in kind of crazy directions that I don't want to spoil. The characters, man, they're so good. Entrapta, okay, there's a character named Princess Entrapta, and her thing is that she's like a scientist, and she's got like prehensile hair that she like uses to like grab stuff. And she is all about science. She just wants to do all the science and learn all that she can and do the science to it.
Hank Pym.
And, like, in the original 80s cartoon, she was a bad guy.
Okay.
And in this show, they decided to instead have her as a good guy. So the heroes have to recruit her. And she is how do I describe, like, this character's really fucking funny.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why is because she was written to be, like neurotypical, like autistic, like on the spectrum.
That's what I was going to ask, if she was autistic. Because usually characters that like this are portrayed that way.
She's really, really likable, but at the same time, she's really fucking frustrating because she just does not understand, like, what the other characters are trying to, like, communicate and get these ideas across and stuff like that. So she's one of the many characters that makes some big mistakes over the course of the series. Mermista, she's the princess of the water, the Sea Kingdom. She's got water powers. She is the too cool for this, constantly groaning kind of girl. Why are you like this?
The 14-year-old inside the giant,
She's so fucking funny. And Seahawk. Seahawk's like this adventure, like pirate guy, like adventuring sailor, and he loves singing shanties and like talking himself up, and he seems to be obsessed with setting his boats on fire and crashing them into things.
Sinbad.
His main solution to problems. I just go on and on and on about each of the characters and like why I love them.
Well, like, don't go too much.
Glimmer is amazing. Bo is amazing. Princess Frosta's amazing. Perfuma's amazing.
So what you're saying is I should watch the show.
I really, really like this show.
Do you think I will like it?
I think you will probably like it.
Okay.
I'm not like 100% because I don't know what 100% of your tastes are.
Yeah, that's the issue. I was trying to think of. It sounds great to me. It sounds like it'll be similar to me when I watched my Little Witch Academia.
It is cute. There's lots of cute moments.
And like
it's definitely the kind of show that there is that people who like shipping characters together, it's that kind of show. It's unavoidable, you know.
Well, that's like, I think that's most shows, and I just kind of ignore that concept.
I think this is a little more than usual though, because there's so many like little moments of are these two characters gonna do a thing, and it's like maybe they're not.
I missed hair.
I don't want to spoil any of that for you either, because some of the relationship stuff is the most interesting part of the show.
Well, the thing I like most in almost any show I watch is characters.
Yeah.
Stories is lame. Stories are all the same. There's like 5 stories.
The only thing I'd be afraid of is you not liking like a character like Glimmer, because Glimmer is one of the less popular characters, which I think is bullshit because she's awesome. She is the princess I said, and her thing is that she wants to, fight against the Horde and be on the front lines and help everyone she can, and her mom, who's the queen, Queen Angela, doesn't want her to like put herself in danger or anything like that, and always wants to hold off on that. And Glimmer makes a lot of like dumb choices based on kind of her inferiority complex compared to her mom and her wanting to prove herself and kind of thing. And that's the kind of stuff that makes people like annoyed when characters make dumb choices. But to me, I'm like, I like this. I like Glimmer and Catra because they're basically like the same character type, except one has a really good parent and one has a really shitty one. And that's what informs all of the bad decisions they make.
When I think of stuff like that, for me, I can always say that the characters I hate the most are just the pieces of shit. People who are just horrible people. This is one of the reasons I don't like the show Shameless.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that show. It's just all horrible people doing horrible things to each other.
What about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Well, Always Sunny is fine because it's horrible people, but they get their comeuppance.
Yeah.
Every time. Well, not every time, most of the time. And they're endearingly funny. They have they can be good people when they want to be, and they sometimes try and fail in the most funny way. But like Shameless is not supposed to be funny. It's just a drama of these horrible people doing horrible things.
Yeah.
When I think of characters that do shit that's just stupid, if it's like so horribly illogical that like why would you even conceive of doing that? Then I have an issue.
There's only one character in the entire show that I felt like I have no sympathy towards whatsoever.
The mom.
Shadow Weaver. She is terrible.
Well, that's fine. She's the enemy. I don't have a problem with hating the enemy. I always have a problem when I hate one of the good guys.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like Catra. I really like Catra, and what's cool is like I feel like every episode, it's always them doing like their own plans and trying to like succeed in them, and somehow every episode ends up with both sides like getting what they want and thinking that the other side lost when really they got exactly what they needed, and it's usually because like, you know, they fought off the Horde from this town, but the Horde managed to get the magical artifact that Catra was targeting all along in the first place, or something like that.
That's a neat.
It's just an interesting dynamic, especially for like those first two, 3 seasons. Oh god, I forgot to mention Swiftwind. Swiftwind is She-Ra's horse. Well, he's like a unicorn Pegasus thing. She transforms the horse into one of these, and he talks.
Okay.
And he is a socialist who wants to liberate all the other horses from unjust hierarchies.
It's always funny when it's animals.
It's so fucking funny. He's so funny.
There's a show, this is only slightly related, but there's a show called Arrow, or Green Arrow. It's all about the Green Arrow. That's an example of a character. His sister in that show is an example of a character who I hate.
Yeah?
Because she's such a shit person. Like, the first episode is, like, he comes back from being on an island for, like, 5 years.
Yeah.
And his sister's like, you know, he's like, his sister's kind of becoming, like, a bad egg, and he's like, hey, don't do what I did because I went on an island for 5 years. And she's like, fuck you. You were gone, asshole. It's like, maybe don't be a bitch.
Yeah.
He just came back. That's an example of a character I fucking hate. If that's the kind of thing, I would probably I don't think I would like the show, but that's not what you're describing to me at all.
No, like I said, all the characters are very likable. Every time they do a bad thing, every time they do a wrong thing, you understand why they did it.
Okay.
Anytime they cross a line, it hurts you more that they did that, more than just being... You feel bad for them more than you feel angry at them, you know what I mean?
Similar to This is sounding similar to what I've understood about BoJack.
No, BoJack is a different...
Okay.
We can have an episode about BoJack, but it's not going to be today.
I also wouldn't be... It would be the same here. You'd have to talk about it, because I've never seen BoJack, and I don't have plans to watch it.
I mentioned my one friend who really likes Avatar. She also really fucking adores BoJack. And, like, I don't want to... I was actually trying to get her to watch She-Ra.
Because you think she'd be into it.
Yeah, I don't want to, like, get into it... Because she's been listening to the podcast. I don't want to get into, like, a BoJack conversation and not do a BoJack the justice that it deserves. BoJack's a hard thing to talk about.
I would assume.
You haven't seen it?
No, and I don't want to.
Yeah, it's something I can't actually recommend. I really liked BoJack, but with a lot of caveats.
Mm-hmm.
I really did like it, but there's some things where I'm like, okay, I've heard that complaint, and that's 100% valid, so there it is.
There's a couple, the games that come out through Twitch, when Twitch does its thing, that's the games I can't recommend.
Yeah.
Like Valorant, it came out through Twitch's drops first. You could get it through a drop. There's no way to recommend that game to anyone. Because you have to wait. If you don't watch Twitch, you aren't getting a drop.
Yeah.
And if you want to try, you have to wait between like an hour to... I had to wait 12 hours for my copy.
Luckily, She-Ra is on Netflix, so if you have Netflix,
Yes.
I would say definitely watch it. If you don't have Netflix, maybe consider pirating it so that you can watch it, because it's really good and I want you to see it, and then when you're gonna...
Not that we would...
And when you inevitably love it, then you can, like, buy, like, the Blu-ray volume.
Good save. Not that we would ever endorse piracy, obviously.
Except I just did.
Except that you didn't.
Except I didn't.
Except that you didn't.
Well, just get a Netflix subscription so you can watch She-Ra.
Yeah, it's. Would you say it's worth like for a month because you can watch within a month?
Oh yeah, I mean it's 52 episodes. Let me think. There's.
I can definitely watch. I could watch them in a day.
I was actually the funny thing is that I was hesitant to start watching She-Ra, and the person I was watching with, so I'm like, okay, either you are going to watch Avatar or I'm going to watch She-Ra. It's going to be one of the two. And I'm like, do you really want to watch Avatar? You just saw it. I'm like, I liked it enough. I'll watch it again right now. That's how I felt about Avatar. But we're like, okay, we'll watch whichever one was shorter. Avatar had 61 episodes. This had 50-something. That's all there was to it. So we watched She-Ra. And I don't regret it. I love She-Ra. She-Ra's so good.
I will have to check it out.
Loved it.
Because I'm pretty into cartoons. I think good cartoons. I also like cute things, and I haven't had anything cute in a while.
I do have... My only complaints about She-Ra, never fell in love with the theme song.
Okay.
It's a very minor thing. Obviously on Netflix you can just skip it, but I definitely appreciate when a show has like a really good theme song. In fact, it doesn't have very many like musical moments in the show, but the ones that are there are just kind of weak.
Okay.
It's not like Adventure Time that had like really good songs sometimes. It's not like Steven Universe that had like incredible fucking music that I would literally put on my Spotify playlist to like listen in my regular rotation.
Have I ever told you how on this podcast at least, that music is just not as big of a thing for me as it is for you?
I mean, the funny thing is I've never considered it to be a big thing for me.
Well, it's less of a thing for me than it is for you.
For me, it's less about like songs and music and stuff you're listening to, and more about like soundtracks and like theme songs and like video game music and stuff like that. Like that is stuff that I've always latched onto, even as a kid. Like I liked Chrono Trigger because it had great music, you know, stuff like that. I mean, I loved Chrono Trigger for a lot of reasons, but it has really good music and that helps.
Like, I don't know. I think I've told you this off podcast. When if I'm playing alone at home, Smash Brothers, I usually don't listen to the music. I just play it silent.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
I'm usually watching something else, but that's the whole thing. Is like I just don't even put my other headphones in. I just have my big ones on. I'm watching like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something, or Futurama in the background, and I'm just playing the game.
Yeah, so obviously, like, not having amazing songs isn't going to be a deal breaker. Oh, She-Ra's transformation scene. I forgot to mention this one. This is like a pretty... It's not a huge weakness, it's something that's just kind of frustrating. So when she transforms into She-Ra, there's like a transformation sequence they go through.
Sure.
Where they like play the special music and they show her like zooming out and her
Sailor Moon.
glowing in the art. Yes, just like Sailor Moon. They even have this shot where like her hair goes like everywhere and the tiara magically forms on her and stuff like that. It is almost never not awkward. Like, it just goes on just slightly too long every single time. It just kills the momentum when it's happening. And
okay.
It's really, really frustrating. After a while, they start, like, shortening it. After a while, they'll, like, skip it. But for, like, the first season, at least, like, it happens, like, once an episode. She's going to turn into She-Ra. They're going to show the sequence. And I'm like, please don't. Don't do that. It made sense in the first episode when they introduced her.
Okay.
And there was a couple of times, there was exactly once, she, like, turns into She-Ra as, like, a flex. I'm like, that is exactly when they should have shown the full sequence, and instead they had, like, a shortened version. It really frustrated me. But then there's other times where it's like, the story is moving too quickly for you to do this. She is literally going to, like, she turns into She-Ra to block an attack to save her friend. It's in the middle of an action sequence. Don't stop that to have even a shortened transformation thing. Just don't do that.
How long does it usually take, would you say? Like, the longest version. Do you have any clue?
Like, 20 seconds. It's not super
20
long.
seconds?
Yeah.
That's too long for a show.
That might be inaccurate. It's definitely something you measure in seconds. I'm hoping it's inaccurate.
Because, like...
It's definitely not show ruining. It is just frustrating.
Like, we should not talk for 20 seconds to show how long that is.
I'm not doing that. I can't shut up for 20 seconds.
Me neither, but Jesus Christ.
Funnily enough, this was not a problem in the He-Man show, which also has a lengthy transformation sequence. It always worked in that dumb show. Like, it was appropriately dumb along with everything else. Like, okay, the shit's going down. Prince Adam needs to turn into He-Man, so he raises his sword, says by the power of Grayskull, he gets hit by lightning. It does the thing where the sword changes.
Yeah.
It shows flashes of Castle Grayskull with light in it. So He-Man holds the sword over his head, and there's a big lightning flash, and it says, I have the power. And then, if Cringer is nearby, he turns it into Battle Cat by pointing the sword at it, shooting him with a laser. He turns into the Battle Cat. Then it shows a scene of him jumping on the Battle Cat. He's always in the exact same pose. Like, if he's falling, like, in the sky, like, looking downward, and then he lands on Battle Cat, and Battle Cat rears up, and that's, like, the shot. Yes, it's that long, but somehow it just works with the flow of the show. It's like the show is written around these transformation sequences.
But this
does not work in She-Ra. She-Ra, it's like, man, okay, first you cut back and you do the hair flowy thing, and the tiara appears, and then there's a sequence where she, like, punches her fists together, and, like, the bracers appear. I'm like, you could have just cut that right there. Just stop it. Just shorten this by just cutting that part out.
That's like one of those things that's like, it's a tiny complaint, but it's really big.
I mean, it's the only complaint I have.
It's like, how I complained about how, when you have to hold down a button to press it in a video game.
Yeah.
It's such a small, stupid thing. But I can rant for hours about how much I fucking hate it.
It's something, it basically goes away in the later seasons when they realize, yeah, we can't keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a little bit better at figuring out when a transformation sequence is even needed.
How long is the first season?
13 episodes.
Okay.
Season 1 is 13 episodes. Season 2 is like 6 and Season 3 is 7.
So yeah.
And then every season after that is 13 episodes.
Do you have any like background information on why the second season third were like that?
I don't know. I'm just assuming it was easier for the animators. Maybe they had contract issues or something like that. I do know that, like, looking back on it, looking for, like, foreshadowing and, like, little mistakes, stuff like that, I'm guessing that's where any problems that I might have had, that's probably where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a minor thing, minor spoiler, but she is told by the magical computer program thing, I'm not going to get into that she needs to balance the world by finding all the princesses and getting them to join their powers.
Sure.
And it shows, like, a circle of, like, 12 figures or something like that. Like, a whole bunch of people. There only winds up being 5 princesses.
That's
And
weird.
I'm like, this is definitely something that they had planned on being bigger, and they wound up scaling that back and only focusing on the important ones. And I'm guessing that's... I mean, it was probably for the better, is all I'm trying to say, is that because the way the characters, like, arcs are paced, the way the story is told, I feel like if you stretch that out, it would ruin a lot of it. You know?
I mean, it depends, because if you think about it, if you have 12 characters, really the main thing is you need to just have either more episodes or have their individual storylines be more concise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily that I don't know. I haven't seen the show, so maybe I'm speaking out of my ass. But I don't think that they would be. I think they could do that well if they tried, but it seems more like it wouldn't make as much sense.
Yeah.
Because why not just have a small cast of characters that you will fall in love with instead of a large one that you have to pick and choose?
Well, they have a large cast because the original show had a huge cast because the original show was based on a toy line.
Well, sure, but I'm saying like the cast is in like there's this cast here, there's this one, and these ones. If they increase this one to 12.
They definitely did a good job at keeping it scaled back and keeping you attached to all the characters that are actually important. And they introduce more, and they're not as important, but you get to know them well enough. There is actually kind of an annoying thing, because there's 2 characters that are introduced like in the first season and are just not important until the last one.
Oh, that's
There's
weird.
2 princesses named Natasha.
Oh, thank God.
That's where it came from. And Spinnerella.
I thought you were going to say Nut Tossa.
No, Net Tossa. She tosses nets. That's her power. She's got magic nets.
That's cool.
And Spinnerella has wind powers.
But Nut Tossa would be far dirtier, and I didn't want that.
Okay, anyway. Moving right along. These characters are, like, introduced in, like, the first episode, or, like, first couple of episodes, and just as, like, a background characters who don't speak. But they're, like, in a lot of the promotional art and stuff, and they're acting like they're big characters when they're just not.
And then they are.
They eventually become, like, in the final season, like, oh, this is an entire story arc about them. That's cool. It's just a little frustrating that they...
Introduce them, and then they're not important, and then they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. It sounds like a good show. It sounds like a show I'd be into, but I have to see it.
The weaknesses are, like, when compare it to Avatar, is that it doesn't have, like, the tightly constructed world. Mm-hmm. It's using the world from He-Man and all the weaknesses that we've got there. Though there are really cool elements about it that I don't want to spoil.
Are you excited for He-Man as a result of this?
While I was watching it, the reason I started watching the He-Man 2002 show, it's like, I want to see a He-Man show of this quality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I could get into He-Man if it was like this. And then I started watching the 2002 He-Man because it's the highest quality He-Man show I could find, and it is, like, if you're going to watch He-Man, watch that show, because the old 80s one is kind of boring, and then they have, like, the new He-Man adventure, which changes everything, and everybody hates that, apparently, and I've never seen it, so I can't judge. And then you got this, where it's like, okay, well, at least... the production value is good, even if the stories are still kind of dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the characters are still kind of dumb. It's still fun. It's a fun show to watch. I'm not going to say it's necessarily bad.
Sure.
It wasn't good enough for me to want to finish it, though.
Okay.
But as I was watching this, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want this. I'm not excited for this.
So you're just not excited for the new one?
No, not really. It's not going to be anything like She-Ra, first of all. I know that already.
I was going to say...
If Kevin Smith is attached to it, it's not going to be anything like She-Ra.
Kevin Smith is attached to it. If they're doing the studio that did Castlevania, it might be a lot more serious.
It's probably going to be pretty serious.
Because Castlevania was weirdly serious for Castlevania.
Castlevania is weirdly serious. That's a hallmark of Castlevania.
Yeah.
They take a ridiculous premise of, like, Dracula and Frankenstein's monster and all these, like, Universal movie monsters, and they're like, no, the lore is serious. This is serious business.
But, like, you as the player, or as the viewer, you can't...
It's always been like that from the beginning, is all I'm saying.
Sure, but you can't take that as seriously.
No.
It's fucking Dracula.
But that's the charm to it.
Yeah.
It's like everything is played straight and serious, but it's the actual concepts are ridiculous. Now that I've watched She-Ra, I'm like, there's this like hole where I just want to like fill it up with more She-Ra, and I can't find anything that's like it. I'm considering just rewatching it.
That's how I feel every time I watch Avatar. And I'm like, I should watch Korra, and then I'm like, I don't like Korra.
Yeah.
I know I don't like Korra. I know it.
Korra's gonna be on Netflix soon, so I'll watch it when it does that. I'm not gonna like try to hunt that down and watch it until then.
I need someone who knows exactly how I feel about everything to tell me if I should watch Korra. Because like one of the main reasons I haven't is I watched the first season when it came out. Hated it. Hated the first season a lot. And then I never watched anything else. But I've heard that it gets good in the third season.
I've heard that it gets worse in the second season.
I've heard that the first two seasons suck, and the third season's good, the fourth season's weird.
Yeah,
That's my understanding.
We've had this discussion before.
I don't think on the podcast, but yes, that's exactly... Well, maybe we did.
My friend who likes Avatar, she said that all of it's bad and she doesn't like it.
That's the problem I have with it. I don't want to go in knowing that, and then like, I feel like it would taint my view of the world, and I don't want that.
Just watch it. We'll just watch it.
No.
When it comes out, we'll just watch it together.
No.
Tell you what, I'll watch it, and I'll tell you if you should watch it.
I don't want to watch it.
I want more She-Ra. I don't want, like, literally more She-Ra, because the story ends in a really satisfying way. Like, an extremely satisfying ending. They nail it.
That's one thing I'm really, like, happy about with recent shows and recent stuff, is I feel like people are getting better at ending things.
Oh, you know what? This is kind of important, and it's going to be a big thing of whether you like She-Ra or not. And I've been dancing around it, because I don't think should be as big of a deal.
Sure.
This show is gay as hell.
What do you mean? Just like lesbians?
Like, yeah, like half the cast is gay.
So?
Just saying. Like, some people are really turned off by that kind of thing, but
I mean, like, I prefer... when I think of, like, a gay character, ideally, I think of just a character, and, like, they also just happen to be gay.
It's kind of like that. I mean, the universe of the show, like, there is no such thing as homophobia.
Sure.
It is completely normal. And that's kind of refreshing in that, like, any sort of, like, gay romance is not... Like, there isn't any, like, they have to
There's
come
no
to terms with being
yeah.
gay or anything. I was like, no, they like that person, like any other romance. Bo has, like, 2 dads. Scorpia's got 2 moms. There's one non-binary character who is fucking awesome. They are just... they're named Double Trouble. They're like a shapeshifter. Love this character so much. They're such a bitch.
Well, like... I mean, after watching, like, Venture Bros, I don't think, like, I care. Because in Venture Bros, sexuality is just sort of there.
Oh! When you would watch Venture Bros last, you hadn't really gotten to Shore Leave.
I had. I had to a little bit. I got into Shore Leave. I like Shore Leave. He's a good
Shore
character.
Leave is my favorite freaking character in Venture Bros.
I do wish he was in there a little bit more.
You wish he was in there more? I feel like he became, like, there a lot. Like, maybe too much.
No,
I didn't mind.
He was there a lot. It just... He wasn't there... He'd sometimes be just there.
Mm-hmm.
And that'd be it. Oh, Shore Leave's in this episode, but he isn't doing anything, and I wish he would just, like, more episodes of him doing stuff and being cool. But, like, my point being, I can't imagine that would be a big deal, unless they, like, shove it in my face. Like, that's the only time I would ever have any issue with it, because I hate it when any show shows any sexuality just down my throat. Like, especially even if it's straight. Like, if you just have a character and all they ever talk about, like harem animes.
I don't watch harem animes.
Don't. You'd hate them, because it's just, like... the main character and then like the one character that he really likes and all the ones that attach onto him and it's like, this is gross.
What about Sokka?
Sokka?
All the chicks dig Sokka.
That's an entirely different scenario.
Just saying.
No, it's not even on the same level because all the chicks dig Sokka.
I'm not going to even address your fucking harem anime rant, okay?
That it sucks? It's terrible?
I know it sucks. Everyone knows it sucks. We have people who like that kind of thing because they're horny 12-year-olds.
My point is that I don't think that would be a big deal unless it's just shoved in my face. And it's from what you're sounding like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be.
Maybe. I mean...
If it's just like a thing, if it's just like, oh, you know, my dad's gay, and they don't even say that, it's just the 2 dads there. It's like, I'm not going to...
They have one coming out episode, but it's not Bo coming out to his... He's coming out to his parents as being a rebel soldier. Because they thought he was at school this whole time. It's pretty good.
Sorry. Like, that concept made me laugh a lot. I really like it when it's like coming out, when it's like a coming out episode, but it's not like have to do with sexuality in any capacity.
No, he's coming out to his 2 dads about being a rebel soldier.
Dad, I'm pregnant. You're a boy. This is a great prank to play on your mom if you're a guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just be like, Mom, I'm pregnant, because immediately they think that I go, what? And they go, wait, what?
I mean, like, it's a show that's like super diverse. Like, one of the characters like was written to be a trans woman.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned there was a non-binary character, which you don't see like in television ever. Lots of gay. It's gay in the best way possible. It's just the gayest thing.
I don't have any problem with that usually. It's just I don't like it if it's like the centerpiece of that character. And what you're describing, it's not that.
No,
I don't like it when there's a character that their character is that they're gay, because that's stupid. It's just like there's no one in the world like that. People are people, you know. But if the way you're describing it, it just sounds like an element that you probably didn't even need to mention it to me, to be honest.
I was hesitating to, but I'm like, I should just be honest for the listeners, because if everyone like already is familiar with She-Ra and they're like they love She-Ra, because it's very popular with like LGBT communities.
Well, yeah. So isn't Avatar?
Yes, but Avatar is distinctly like not
Gay.
Not gay.
Yeah.
Korra is a little bit of gay. Korra was actually kind of like a landmark thing.
I was gonna say, isn't she gay?
Kind of. If
I don't remember.
You didn't watch...
my understanding is that she ended up with the chick at some point.
Kind of. So I haven't seen it, but I know enough about it because I look into this kind of stuff. Because if you tell me that the main character is a lesbian, I'm going to watch it.
Okay.
For some reason. But in Korra, there's like a love triangle where both her and the other girl are interested in this one guy.
Yeah.
And then at the end, her and the other girl get together.
Yeah.
But there's no like actual like they don't kiss or anything like that. They kind of like hold hands and like walk away. So it's very much an obvious.
Implied.
Like, it's implied, but it's very obvious that that's what they're doing.
I actually forgot this was a thing.
Yeah, and it was like a landmark thing for the time. And now you look at Steven Universe, which has all kinds of gay stuff in it, and She-Ra, which has tons and tons of gay stuff in it. Like, gay characters in children's cartoons isn't as big of a thing as it used to be. Like, it's still a big thing, and it's gonna be cool when you see it more and more and more. Did you watch Voltron?
No.
I haven't watched it either. I had it recommended to me.
The new one?
Yeah, the new one that was on Netflix. Same animation. It's another DreamWorks cartoon like She-Ra is. And I guess there was a lot of controversy over that because they were like setting up this one character to be gay, and then they like don't have the payoff, and like a lot of gay fans were like angry or something like that.
It's weird that they would do it that way.
Yeah, it's called queer baiting, I guess.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, they're trying to like get people talking about their show and like interested in it because like they're going to like have a gay thing in it, and then they wind up like not.
It's weird on multiple levels to me.
Voltron is something I've considered watching a lot of times, and it just doesn't seem like it is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's much longer. It's a lot messier. My friend Chris really, really likes it, but like when I watched it, I didn't get like addicted to it. I'm like, I don't want to keep watching this. I watched like the first season. I'm like, this isn't enough for me to be super interested in. Whereas She-Ra was like, no, this is great. I love this. I just want to see more Mermista being really frustrated with all the other characters for being goofy.
What's the one show? Dragon Egg Quest.
Dragon Prince.
Dragon Prince. You might like that.
Didn't know if I wanted to talk about that because I did immediately look into it after She-Ra because I'm like, I want more stuff like this.
Sure.
This was made by the people who made Avatar.
Sure.
It's supposed to be really good. Have you watched it?
Dragon Prince?
Yeah.
I've watched the first season.
I cannot fucking stand the animation. It's like, this is hideous. I hate this. Why would they do this?
Yeah.
So, listeners, if you are not familiar with Dragon Prince, unlike Avatar, this is a computer animated show.
3D anime.
Yeah, 3D animation, where they kind of draw over it to look a little bit more two-dimensional.
Yeah, it's revolting.
And the revolting part is the fucking frame rate. Like, they purposely animate on the ones instead of twos so that everything's, like, kind of choppy. And they're like, well, they didn't like how it looked before because it looked floaty. I'm like, if you don't know how to fucking 3D animate, go back to 2D animation. Okay? There's been tons of 3D animated things that has beautiful float animation that does not look floaty. If your solution to making it not look floaty is to make it look choppy and shitty, then you're not doing your job right. I hear the show is really good. I hear that. I want to watch it because it's in my wheelhouse. It's like fantasy stuff, and it's made by the people who made Avatar, but I'm like, this looks hideous, and I can't stand watching it for more than a few seconds.
I thought you might enjoy it because they have, like, a character that's like a She's a general in the army, and she's deaf.
I'd enjoy her just for being deaf.
I just found that I honestly found it dumb. Because, like, how do you do that? How do you get good at combat and be deaf?
I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be deaf.
Neither do I, but I can't imagine it's as easy.
Well, maybe it's a really cool plot point. I don't know.
I don't know either. I only watched the first season.
I love representation in my TV shows, apparently, though, so...
I guess. I like it when it's done properly.
We need more deaf characters on television. Preferably not Dragon Prince, so I don't have to watch that.
Yeah. I think it'd be better if it was, like... I don't want to say, like, a deaf person in their place. I want a deaf person who's, like, doing something amazing. But, like, I can't imagine how that would work. As a general. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to bark out orders to people. It just doesn't make sense to me. But, yeah, the animation is horrible. I tried watching it all the way through. I got the first season. And, like, the characters aren't bad, I guess. But, like, it's pretty clear that the first season's a test.
Yeah.
To see if you enjoy the show. And, like, I just didn't in the end. Partially because the animation sucked, but partially just because it was, like... I don't want to watch this anymore. I literally got to the first episode of the second season. I looked over and I was like, I don't want this on anymore.
I was skipping ahead in the second and third season, and in the third season, the animation looks like it improved greatly. And I'm like, well, I could watch it if it looked like this the whole time, but I do not want to watch through 2 whole seasons of it looking bad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. If I'm, like, really desperate for a show like that, maybe I'll give in and watch it.
We'll just lock you in a room and give you only that show.
I'm just gonna watch She-Ra again.
Nah, we won't give you Netflix. We'll give you a big CD. It's only got Dragon Prince on it.
How do you fit that on a CD? Like a CD-ROM?
Yeah, it's a big enough CD. They have big ones. Give you a flash drive. What the fuck ever.
Okay.
Goddamn.
People don't use CDs anymore, Giger.
I just thought, like, that's how most people have movies.
It's all Blu-rays now, bitch.
Shut your whore mouth. Okay.
I want to keep talking about She-Ra, but I don't think there's anything else I can say without spoiling it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll have to watch it, then we can do an episode where we spoil it.
Yeah, where we spoil it?
If I hate it, I really hope I don't. Sometimes it happens.
I really hope you don't either. I might have talked it up a bit too much.
Sometimes I watch a show and I just there's something about it I can't even describe that I fucking hate. Like when I watched American Gods, I love almost everything about that show, but I hate his wife so much.
American Gods was hard for me to. I didn't actually finish it. That was because it was too hard for me to watch. I really like that book a lot, and I think a lot of the show was done really, really, really well.
A lot of the characters are fucking amazing. Like a lot of the what's it called? Like the setting and how they do shots.
Yeah.
I don't get impressed by that often, but this show impressed me a lot. Especially my favorite was when they were talking to the Russian god of death, or whatever it was. I can't remember.
It's a Slavic god of death.
Slavic.
Cernabog.
I wasn't 100% sure. I knew you would know.
Yeah, that's my wheelhouse.
As soon as he was brought up and they did all the shots with him and his family and how, like, the setting, that was fucking amazing to me. I was like, this is great. And then they introduced his wife, and I was like, I fucking hated you. And then she kept being in the show. I was like, I fucking hate this chick.
The frustrating thing about that character is that in the book, it's from that guy's perspective.
Shadows.
So it's from Shadow's perspective, so you can't hate Shadow's wife because he doesn't hate her. And it's like, she's done awful, awful things, but he can't, like, make himself hate her. He still loves her so much,
yes.
Even though she's clearly terrible, and she's been terrible to him. So you kind of are sympathetic to her for the same exact reason he is.
Yeah.
But then you see it in the show, and it's like, well, I'm not seeing this from his perspective. I'm seeing this from an audience member's perspective.
And
I'm not looking through his eyes. I'm not hearing his thoughts.
Yeah.
And she's just awful.
She's a shit being. She's such a shitty person, and it's so annoying. The reason I haven't finished it, because the second season's out, is because I'm afraid that, like, it's gonna end with a happy ending, like every show would, or something, or with a semi-happy where they're back together.
I mean, you can just read the book.
I might, because I think I'd enjoy the book more, because I really like Neil Gaiman as a writer.
Yeah,
I think he's amazing. He's the one who wrote the book, just to make sure anyone knows. Sandman was fucking amazing. I think we both love it.
Yeah.
But goddamn, that show. Another example of a show that a character I should not hate but do.
Why did we start talking about American Gods again?
Because I was telling you about... Was it her? I think I was telling you about her.
The wife that you hate.
Yeah, I think it was relevant to her.
You just hate bad nasty characters that are unlikable.
Yeah.
Unless they get their comeuppance because they're bad guys.
even then, I think a lot of the reasons I'm okay with Always Sunny is just because it's funny.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be funny. You're supposed to laugh. You're supposed to not be into them. But like when the show is a bit more serious and this character is just there, hate him.
Oh, excuse me. All right.
Oh, we were talking about it because I was saying I really hope I don't hate it.
I really hope you don't hate it. I don't think you'll hate it.
I doubt it. I probably will.
You probably aren't going to be as like gushing excited about it as I am.
No, just because it's just I don't find I shouldn't say I don't find representation as important because that's not entirely true. I want more representation because I want it more like from the perspective of the writer though. I want more writers to that in different perspectives because I like the idea of more. Like I want a deaf person to write something, you know what I mean, from their perspective, and I want to even if it was zero sound, that'd be baffling to me. I really want to see that.
So you want to play the Quiet Man?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, you never heard of that game?
No.
That was that came out was it last year? The year before that maybe? It was Square Enix had an action story game where you play as a deaf character, and it is really bad. It is so bad it's good kind of bad, but just they fail on every level.
I've literally never heard of it, so
you should look into it. It's funny.
Okay, but that's from my perspective. Is I prefer writers to be more diverse as opposed to necessarily the show. If the show's as diverse as a result, then great, but it's not something I look for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Deafness is something I definitely don't see enough representation in when I think about it.
Absolutely, yeah. Deafness and blindness. I recently was watching people talk about Anne Frank.
Anne Frank.
They were saying that she's a fraud, or not that she's a fraud, that that Anne Sullivan, her teacher, was a fraud and used her as a method of.
Anne Frank, the Jew that was hidden in the attic.
Oh my god, I did the Bert Kreischer thing.
Oh my god, what are you even doing, dude?
I'm so sorry, everyone.
That's very. I don't know if it's offensive, but it's something.
Bert Kreischer talks about how he does this. It wasn't Anne Frank, it was the other woman. Helen Keller.
Helen Keller. That's who I thought you were talking about, but then you're like, Anne Frank? And her diary?
There's actually a huge section in one of Bert Kreischer's comedy specials, because he's a comedian, about how he does exactly that.
Anne Frank did not fake her diary.
Anne Frank did not fake anything. Anne Frank is not who I was talking about. Helen Keller, on the other hand.
She didn't fake anything either, I don't think.
That's the thing. I was watching a video about the conspiracy that there's so much shit that she couldn't have been able to do. Because, she can't hear or see. Think about how much of, communication is reliant on one of those two.
Yeah, but that's, the whole point, is that it's such an amazing...
And yet, no one else has been able to copy it.
I mean, how many blind deaf people do we discover every day?
Not many, but a lot of them will come out, after. End up being blind and deaf after, an accident.
Yeah, and, I mean, a lot of, deaf people, if they... Deaf children, deaf infants, they can do, surgery, early on to, correct it.
Yes.
So...
Point is there was a conspiracy about how she was not as, awesome as it seemed. She was, a thing. And it got me for a minute, and then I started watching her actually, speak. And it's, kind of insane. Because, the guy who was doing it was, making it seem so much oh, no, there's no way she could have been as, fluent as she was. And then you watch her, and it's insane. Either she can't do it, and this is, insane puppetry.
Mm-hmm.
Or, which is even beyond its own impressive, or she's able to actually understand things. But yeah, that's the thing that happened. That was a huge waffle.
Yes. So the question is, do we keep recording and we talk about something else and we just have a slightly long one, or do we just end this podcast here, having only talked about Mike Tyson and She-Ra?
I don't think people will hate that. I don't think people would hate it if we did that. We've already done it. I don't know.
This is going to be the week where we release 2 episodes and talk about less
4
than ever.
things. No, 5 total things. That'll be this week. All right. I'm cool with it.
Watch She-Ra.
Maybe check out Mike Tyson if you like Norm Macdonald. But definitely watch Norm Macdonald's Can't Stand Up.
And watch She-Ra.
And watch She-Ra.
To be honest, it was hard for me to watch it at first because it's super girly and it's all pink and stuff. I'm like, man, I don't want people walking in on me when I watch this. I'm like, man, I don't care about that anymore. She-Ra's so good.
Say, really? It's nothing that's never bothered me.
It's something that bothers me. It's that like kind of toxic masculinity I was raised in.
We should say goodbye and then talk.
And then talk so that the music can drown us out.
Yeah, do you like the new music, by the way? Have you
I
heard
do
it?
like the new music. I didn't really like the old music very much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Now we can talk and.
Well,
yeah.
we gotta plug the email address and everything again.
Again.
Yeah, just to remind listeners, our email is
The Waffle Hour Podcast at gmail.com.
and our Twitter is
Our Waffle.
at our waffle.
At Our Waffle. Hour. We have a YouTube if you haven't checked it out.
We've got Spotify.
We have Spotify. We have a bunch of others. You can check it out on the Twitter. I have a list pinned comment with all the places you can get the podcast.
Leave comments if you are interested in us talking about stuff.
If you have any questions, that'd be cool. We could do a section like that.
I don't actually care about like boosting our algorithm or whatever in
No.
YouTube, but I would like to hear people like saying things. You
I
know?
would- yeah,
so that's
I'd like-
why I want to see comments.
Feedback would be tight.
Yeah, tell us how shitty we are, and then I can actually fix it. Because if I keep going on like this, I'm not gonna know how shitty I'm being.
Yeah, and I have no concept because I've like hung out with him too much, and he's hung out with me. I assume.
I meant like us being shitty like podcast makers, not just me being a shitty person.
That's
but-
what I meant
okay.
too. Because it's
Okay.
all about talking.
Okay.
Like you say, you have a list, but I don't hear it.
Anyway. We're not gonna get into that.